Hey everybody, welcome. So, for those of you who haven't been on the channel before, I'm Mike. I like to do live streams on the fundamentals of art, in particular gesture drawing and anatomy. So I'll do gestures today and I'll do some hands. In the near future, I'll start also doing clothing. I want to put out an actual long video for clothing first, and then I'll start to do those for the live streams. If this is your first time on the channel, please feel free to subscribe. I'd love for you to join the Manga Mike community. Without further ado, let's get started. I have everything pretty much set up here. And as always, if y'all have any questions or concerns or anything like that, please feel free to just reach out, ask questions in the chat box, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Okay. Alright, so this set up, and we can immediately start up here. So when I do these, I like to do about 2.5 minutes per gesture. This one will be closer to 2 minutes because it's taking me a second to get everything situated. But yeah, I like to do about 2.5 minutes per gesture. I do volumized gestures, so there's a lot of information in them. Feel free to follow along. The main thing, as always, that I kind of talk about with gesture is just maintaining your fluidity in your drawing. So, it's okay, for instance, you can't do fully fleshed out gesture drawings like the ones I'm doing here. They're not fully fleshed out, right? Like, gotta definitely add some more anatomical detail to them, but it's okay if you can't do like volumized gesture, I should say. It takes a while to get to a point where you can do volumized gestures, and when you're first starting, you want to get the flow and the rhythm down. And again, the main thing is not to get every single detail of each one in. The main thing is to be able to understand, like, when you're looking at it, you want to be able to understand, okay, this is a character doing X thing. As long as you're getting that in, you're pretty much good to go. So this is a character that's jumping off the ground. One thing I will say is I probably needed to push this perspective that way just a bit. So let's keep going here. All right. Another thing that's important is when you're doing gestures, the main thing at first is just to use reference. Gesture practice is a practice for you to learn. It's not something for you to like push your imaginative work quite yet. You can do imaginative gestures, which maybe I'll do a little bit of that today. Before I wrap stuff up, but yeah, that's really the main thing, is just making sure that you're learning something as you're doing this, and you can't learn just by doing imaginative work. Now, if you are a person that's really pushing and wanting to do more imaginative work, what you can do is you can do like the same exercise that I'm currently doing, except for let's just throw this way. Except for you would then go back through and check your work. So you would do what I'm currently doing without the reference, and then you would go back, find a reference that's either the one that you were trying to draw anyway. So if you have like a set list of references, which I highly recommend, you can go through and find the one that you were trying to memorize and see if see how close you got, basically. And then make corrections accordingly. That's a really good way to learn it. This is probably the most useful one for me on this list. Sorry, sometimes I have like reference sheets that have a bunch of different poses, so I have to like look and choose one that I want to work off of. For people who want to do like animation and stuff like that, this is something that I would highly recommend you do. Lots of gestures, and do quick ones like I'm currently doing, because it'll help you find an armature for yourself, or a mannequin for yourself, so that when you go to do your first like batch of or your first go at trying to do this like a particular pose, it'll allow for you to do it a little bit more efficiently. All right. And the good thing too with gesture is by the time you start to see the mistake that you really want to try to correct, you need to be moving on to the next one, and that can be frustrating at times, but it is important to get that practice in of getting rid of one thing and then starting anew. Could probably do a video just on that, just because sometimes it's hard when you put in a lot of effort into something. It's really hard sometimes to get rid of it, right? All right. Nice kneeling pose. Can't really see this leg over here too much in this reference. I believe it's technically going back this way just a tad, but that's about it. You can't really even see. I mean, if I were to guess, the foot would probably land here, so you might see maybe a little bit of the toe. And then we'll go ahead and get in the upper and lower arms here. Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. That's why I do this. Hopefully help people out. Drawing is not an easy thing to get good at. It's easy to start, not easy to get good at. Alright, so this pose is like super foreshortened. So you have to be careful with these kinds of poses to not try to draw everything, unless you're doing kind of what I'm doing right here, which I'm trying to like draw through just so I have a little bit of a guide as to where stuff may be. But yeah, you can't draw like the entire body in a foreshortened pose because a lot of it's going to be blocked. And this pose is really, really foreshortened. Or I should say this body is really, really foreshortened in this particular pose. Alright. One thing that I am going to change is actually the head size here. I'm going to make it bigger. As for now, I'm focusing into drawing more good expression using body and all. I always draw just the head to chest. I think I'll need to go for head to feet. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, even in like manga and comic art, I don't know what kind of artist you would like to be, but typically drawing from like, you're gonna see most characters like a large portion of the time from like the middle of the thigh up. Ooh, camera got really crooked. I don't know why that happened. Give me 1 second. But it is good practice to do everything. It's hard. Doing full body poses is not easy, and getting all the expression and stuff in. Sorry guys, just a short break. I like to give myself a 1-minute break in between. I do 5, I believe. Is it 5 on here? Yeah, I'll do 5 poses, and I like to give myself a 1-minute break in between the sets of 5. This is a pose I need to probably get some practice in on outside of these gesture drawing sessions, because I do want to memorize this pose. It's a pretty good one. Alright, the midline is going to be here. So really just gonna get this. In the back of the arm here. I think the hardest part, actually, for me at least, with doing full body poses has been trying to make sure, like when I'm doing it from imagination at least, trying to make sure that the balance is there for the legs in particular, because it really will throw off the entire drawing if your legs aren't in the exact spot they need to be, like the feet and stuff. All right. Alright, so that's that pose. Let's see here. I will draw this pose here. Yeah, I have a few, like this one is technically a worm's eye view right here, like this particular pose. They are difficult and you will struggle with them. I struggle with them. Not you meaning you, but I just mean artists in general will struggle, as I'm like kind of struggling with this one now. This particular pose is a little difficult. I find actually the worm's eye view poses to be a little bit more difficult than the bird's eye view. Just because you're not really used to seeing a body from that particular perspective. But as long as you use the proper volumes as you're doing it, you should be relatively okay. Problem is I can't see this back foot, so it's gonna make it appear a little bit off. And this leg is weirdly stumpy looking. And this is too big. Probably thin it out a little bit and it would make it look a little better. But yeah, the one that I did earlier was the bird's eye view. Really fast. This is a bird's eye view angle. I have less difficulty with those than these ones. And here. I could thin this rib cage out just a bit here. Then this arm. Sorry, I do see your comment. Just give me 1 second. Just wanted to finish this up. Can make all of this a bit smaller. Not too much, but just a touch. That way, make the hand and the arm, I mean, a little bit longer. There we go. Yeah, I never made a single good drawing in perspective, just did only different angles of faces, expressions, and those things. Anyways, I go for a more manga art style, but a more eye-catching one. Yep. If you want to do manga, I would also highly recommend the kinds of exercises that I'm currently doing, just because it'll help you establish armatures and stuff for your characters quicker, and it'll allow for you to be able to get characters down, at least the rough draft of a character down in a scene very, very quickly, and then you can build from there. And I would start, like, if you're trying to work perspective, I would start with these kinds of characters first, and I'll show you why. Yeah, I got 45 seconds, plenty of time. So like a standing pose, but in like a 3/4 view. And the reason for that is because you can see in this particular image the perspective grid without me really drawing it. So you can see that the perspective dot and the horizon is about here. And the reason for that is because, oops, maybe a little further out. Yeah, probably a little bit further out at least. You got all these lines going right towards it. These are a little off maybe, but you can kind of see that this is a good perspective, like character in perspective drawing, in my opinion at least. I'm sure it could be better, but this one is pretty difficult because it's a super foreshortened. It's almost looks like a JoJo's pose. It's a super foreshortened hand in this pose, so it'll be helpful for me to try that out. get this arm in finally. Well, this could probably be a little bit more. Sorry, give me 1 second. Cool, finish that. Alright, I'm gonna buy a manual for poses. I always seem to find some flaws or mistakes. Quick question, any good way to see the mistakes you made on the drawing that you can't see much? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Any good way to actually see the mistakes you made on the drawing that you can't see much? Is there like a good way to be able to check yourself if you're not 100% sure what to look at? That's what I got out of that question. I'm not 100% sure, just because if you don't, like if you're lacking the knowledge on something, then, hey, what's going on? Trill Virtual Boy. Nice. I don't think you've joined, or at least I haven't seen you comment on one before. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. It's hard, or I guess the other way that I could interpret your question is, are you saying, can you find mistakes if you can't see what's in, like, if you can't see the full, self-check thing, okay. I would say not really. So, if you lack knowledge on something, you're not going to be able to find mistakes in that thing. So for, like, I could think that, like, this is good anatomy for an eye. And in my brain, and I would say this isn't, I mean, I don't know, I think this is decent, right? You got basically everything here that you would really need, but just because I think that doesn't mean that somebody who isn't like real, like a professional to the point where like they're like a professional portrait drawer, for instance, they would probably be able to look at this and say, well, these are the things that you've gotten wrong with your eyes for X amount of time or whatever. But I don't know, like for instance, for me with clothing folds, I've been like really trying to practice those. Right now, this is what, like if two pieces of cloth, or sorry, if there's like a piece of cloth that's hanging on like two tension points here and here, like somebody's hands are like this holding it up. I know that there's going to be folds going between the two that kind of go downwards as they get like hit by gravity. There's probably like this one's probably going to go almost all the way, another one probably almost all the way, but as we get further and further away from this tension point up here, they're gonna phase out, and you're gonna get something like this at the bottom, and something like that, right? But I'm learning more and more about folds just in general. I turn the drawing 180 degrees, sometimes it works, but I kind of feel that I always do something wrong. I can't know. Yeah, I mean, that's just like you starting to understand that you have like a lack of knowledge on specific topics, right? A lot of, I think the big one is anatomy. Like, I feel like like my anatomy at this point is pretty good. Like, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I can typically tell when I've drawn something kind of wrong, but you can't just fix it from your imagination. You need to find a reference, and then that'll allow you to fix it a little bit more effectively. I think that's the thing that people get wrong a lot of the times, is that they're like, oh, this looks wrong, and then they keep messing around with it until they feel like it looks right. But unfortunately, just because you think it looks right doesn't mean it is right. You need to find a good reference for it. Perfect. So we're going to go into doing hands, which is something that I do struggle with, right? It's the anatomy of a hand that's very difficult for me. I think, as almost any artist would say, it's probably about accurate for everybody. So I do like doing these on stream because it gives me having y'all around gives me a really good incentive to practice. And without that incentive there, I'm not 100% sure if I would do these as frequently as I'm currently doing them. Alright, so get this. It's going downwards just a bit more than what I had it. Sorry, my commentary kind of goes downhill once I start with the hands, because, like I said, it's something that I really have to concentrate on. Bodies, I mean, obviously you're never finished working on figuring out like how to draw the human body, because there's just so much. But I am way more comfortable drawing bodies than I am hands, so. Oh, you don't have to apologize for questions. I love answering questions. Well, you can... See, that's another thing. Don't allow yourself to feel like you have to have perfect work to post, because I don't have perfect work and I post. You want to, post as frequently as you can. People like to see other people do, like, go on a journey, right? We like character arcs. Allow people to see your character art. Just post. That's one thing that I will say that I regret, is like stopping my previous like manga or comic, just because I think it stopped me from progressing as much as I could have. How do I feel about this hand? I think that the wrist is a bit big. I think that I could probably do that. It's not too much of a difference, but oh, no, it feels a little too small actually. this that is tripping me up. Yeah, this definitely needs to be further down like that, maybe. Alright, next hand. Yeah, I did, I have like a webtoon that I created a while ago. I've done a couple of one-shots since, but I was working on a webtoon comic a few years ago. It's called Steam, and I kind of stopped just because I wasn't really happy with where it was going. Well, not where it was going, but like my progress. What happened really was that I got to a point where I could start to see more and more flaws in my work, and I didn't know how to remedy it without taking a long break from it and just studying. But I wish I would have kept going and just studied as I went. And I'm not going to make that mistake with this next comic that I'm getting ready to start. I'm going to make sure I do all the studying I feel like I need to right now, and then I'm just going to start. Hey, how's it going? Morbid, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for hopping in. Holy cow, what? Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. I don't know if I would say I'm amazing, but I do appreciate it. I will take the compliment. Alright. It's really funny because like I feel like fists are like technically the easier thing to draw, but I struggle with them so much. And I don't know what it is, but I definitely struggle with a fist a little bit more than I do the open hand. Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words, Morbid. Alright, so we get here, 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 and here. Remote it. Nice. I always say people should draw whatever makes them, well, don't know how much a morbid drawing makes you happy, but, but draw whatever you have the most fun drawing. How about that? Yeah, I wish I could do. I haven't really experimented with too many like traditional like media, just because, or mediums I should say, just because it's just not something that I've really done too much. I experimented with, and I do really actually like Copic markers, like alcohol-based markers. Those are nice. But dang, how many? Okay. So this is the last one before a short break. Good. You should be. Art is, if you don't have a story in your art, it's just a, like, it's just, I don't know how to explain this. It's just a technical piece without too much of a soul, and it's not, you can't really connect with that as like a viewer, so. Being able to tell a story trumps one's ability to have technical skill. Alright, I am relatively happy with this one. I'm gonna work on an oil. Nice. Sounds good to me. I actually really enjoy, like, I have Mark Bernay's art course, and when I'm doing my own work, I actually like to put his, I guess I should probably turn the camera this way just a bit. I like to put on some of his videos where he's painting stuff, because it makes me feel like I'm working next to somebody. It's always easier to do things, well, not always, it feels easier sometimes for some people to do things in like groups or couplings. It is for me, at least. It makes me feel like somebody's working alongside me. Alright, just a few more hands here. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm like strange. I like to do things next to people, like feel like there's somebody there, but I prefer to not be like talking too much while I'm doing stuff. These streams are different though. Like, I don't know. Like, another thing I really enjoy is like helping people. So like these streams for me are more than just drawing and me getting in practice. They are me like fulfilling a different kind of like need for myself, which is to like teach and enjoy other people's presence. I'm pretty antisocial myself, to be honest with you. I can be personable, but um, even being personable, like I have like a limit as to how much I can give. Especially because my job, I'm actually a therapist full time. So like my social meter a lot of the times is pretty shot by the time I'm doing something like this for self-care. So like I would not want to be bothered too much. Same as in you're also a therapist? It can be. I'm well, I can't share that yet, but yeah, it can be in the current job I have. Okay. There's like just the slightest, because I can't do like the full like getting rid of any kind of lag in between you and I, so there's a little bit of a gap when I'm responding to what I'm seeing on here and vice versa for y'all. So all right. Body double. Yep. That is exactly what it's called. It works especially well for people who have ADHD, which I do have ADHD. It's funny, even though I'm in that field, like terms for whatever reason, like they do not resonate in my brain. I often forget like specific terms for stuff, and I would say I'm actually I think that I'm a pretty good therapist. So it's just funny that that's just something that just does not stick with me is terms like that. This hand didn't come out as quite as good as I would have liked, but unfortunately, I do have a overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, it can be. Like, I think that the most difficult part for me with the kind of ADHD that I have is starting things actually. Like, my brain heavily resists me starting a specific task, but once I get started, then I get hyper focused on it though. I think that's probably why my brain resists it, because of the hyper focus piece of it. Um, but yeah, that's my biggest difficulty with that kind of stuff. And then I do have a tendency to also not finish things sometimes that I do start, which is probably again like why sometimes I do get hyper focused on it, because it's like if I don't do this as soon as I can, like maybe I won't get back to it. Um, so that's something I've been working on as much as I can. Yeah, that's exactly how I am. Yeah, procrastination sucks because then it also, like, if it's something that's meaningful for you, like this is like doing my manga and stuff is like super meaningful for me, like because of like the message I want to give in it. And when you start to procrastinate those kinds of things, it makes you feel like, at least for me, it makes me kind of feel worse about myself, because it's just like you're not like doing the thing that you know is going to make you happy, so it just makes things hard. It's like, oh, if I can, if I can do these things, then, it'll make me feel better because I'm doing something that adheres to like my sense of self. And then you don't do it and you're like, why am I not doing that? Like, what's wrong with me? And it's not that there's anything wrong with you, you just have ADHD. Another fist to end things off on. Yeah. Like, that's one thing I will say that I've done a good job of, is like making like drawing every day a habit. Like that's something that's hard. Like, if you can start to just every day, like your only goal is just, picking up the pencil. If it's something that you want to do, right? If you don't want to do this, then you don't have to. But if art is something that is really important for you, and it's something that you want to take far, like, I don't know, have consistent commissions or get hired somewhere or something like that. Something as simple as, I'm just going to pick the pencil up and draw something every day. It doesn't have to be an incredible piece or anything like that. That was helpful for me. Sketch a client. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. You talking about like one of my like therapy clients? I wouldn't do that. Just because it would, like, I've made things for clients. I have a client that I created some like pieces for. But yeah, I wouldn't want to do that just because unless, I mean, I could, I guess, do it for my own personal collection and just keep it, but it would be, you're not supposed to do stuff like that because of like HIPAA compliance and stuff, so I wouldn't want to jeopardize that. Like right now I'm able to do some drawings simply because I have a lot of emotions inside. Now I'm trying to get them on paper. This summer was traumatic. Yeah, sometimes emotion. Oh, there's still one more hand. I thought it was finished. Sometimes, like, if it's an outlet for you, that's it's a good way of, art's a form of expression, right? So it's a great way to maintain that. Sorry, I like lost my train of thought because this is one of the more difficult hands to draw on this like list that I have, so Get rid of some of this stuff here. I think that this line is off by a bit. Then in turn, this needs to come out just a bit more. Knuckle here and knuckle wrist. All right. I kind of just draw the same time I get that feeling, linking it with a good idea. The drawings then suddenly turns out really, yeah, you're like getting into the correct state of mind to do drawings. The trick is to help yourself get into that state of mind without it having to be like a eureka moment, right? Like, oh my gosh, like there's this really cool thing I'm thinking about, I need to go draw it. Mark actually talks about that in his course. He talks about like helping yourself get into a state of mind that's positive so that when you go to draw, you associate it with positive things. Yeah, like one of the things, like I said, that's how I got into like the body doubling like stuff, where I consistently I set up my computer the same way. I typically get like a similar kind of drink. I listen to the same kind of music, and it allows me to like get into a good mindset to be creative. Yeah. Wow, the way that you draw the hands is so cool. Thank you. So that was the last hand, actually. So this is what we have for today. This is a pretty good day's work. The gestures all came out good, actually, I think. It depends. A lot of the times I like to get like sometimes I'll get tea if I'm feeling a little tired. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink like energy drinks or soda. I'll get like a sparkling like flavored water sometimes. Water just other times, and then like today's just water. But I'll also get like coconut water is my favorite, so I'll treat myself to a big coconut water. I'm trying to pick out my favorite gestures for today are this one, and probably this one. Those are probably my favorites. And the reason for that is because I like to draw too at night. Like sometimes I'm my most productive between like 11 and like 2 in the morning. The reason that I like these ones, this one I like because of the perspective. This one I like because it's a little bit of a difficult pose, but it's really clean looking. Like I didn't waste too many lines, and the same reason for this one. Like there's not very many wasted lines here, and it came out looking pretty clean. So that would be. I'm gonna make this wrist a bit bigger. That'll be my practice for today, everybody. I'm going to wrap up there. For those of you who are scrolling through, if you haven't subscribed already or liked the video, please do so. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate if you would come to more. It's been nice talking with all of you. Yeah, I'm going to try to do another stream on Thursday of this week. Hopefully I don't have too much going on. I have like another wedding that I'm a part of this upcoming week. So I might not be able to, but I'm going to try my best. But I hope that y'all take care of yourselves. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next live stream. And thank you. Thank you for the comments on the drawings. Appreciate it. And thank you for subscribing. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.